Thunderbolts is here, and it gives us one of the most important post-credit scenes in the history of the MCU that sets up multiple different plot lines for Avengers Doomsday and the entire future of the MCU. We gotta talk about it, so obviously major spoilers for the ending of the movie itself, the Asterix title reveal, and obviously the post-credit scene. So at the end of the movie, again, last chance to get out for spoilers, we see the Thunderbolts all help Bob conquer the Void. They all break out of the Void itself, and they're just kind of standing around in New York City during the aftermath, and immediately they are all going after Valentina, because not only is she the entire reason that Sentry and the Void exist, because that was her project, kind of making this guy to be her own personal super soldier that's more powerful than like everybody else in the world. She also was obviously having the Thunderbolts pitted against each other, trying to kill each other at the beginning, so everybody's super mad at her. So the Thunderbolts start cornering Val, and they're telling her like, yeah, we're gonna take you in, you're gonna get arrested, you've done enough damage, we all hate you, like this is coming to an end right here, right now. But Val actually has a super smart play, and she kind of slips behind the debris a little bit, and when all the Thunderbolts go behind this wall of debris to follow her, they find out that Val actually has a press conference set up with all the news and press on the other side. And obviously the Thunderbolts aren't going to do anything rash right in front of the news, so Valentina goes on with her press conference where she announces that the Thunderbolts are actually the new Avengers. So all the press and news are super happy and clapping. They're like, oh yay, we got new people to protect us finally. But Yelena leans over to Val and she's like, yeah, we own you now, we are in control of you. And that's when you get the actual reveal that the Asterix for Thunderbolts is because the real title of this movie is technically the new Avengers, which I think was such a great reveal. It didn't feel corny or anything, like it fits so perfectly into the story, and a lot of people were expecting it to be like the Dark Avengers anyway, so they were close on their guesses. Which brings us to the post-credit scene, which has two major setups for the future. One is like the big obvious like cameo teaser for the next movie, but the other part of this scene I feel like nobody's talking about is almost just as interesting. But I'll start off with the bigger moment from this post-credit scene that everybody's losing their mind over, and I gotta admit, it worked on me too. It was cool to see this officially teased within the MCU, even though we obviously all knew it was coming since it's the next film. Yes, there is a major Fantastic Four teaser in this movie. In the post-credit scene, you see Elena talking to the rest of the new Avengers, and she's saying like, yeah, we have this major space problem, and then John Walker makes a joke like, oh, we're already running out of space, and she's like, no, space up in the sky, dummy. So Elena just has the computer kind of do a threat analysis of whatever's happening up in space in this moment, and then it comes back like a minute later, and it's like, yeah, there's an extra dimensional ship entering the atmosphere. It cuts to the screen showing it, and the ship slowly rotates to reveal a Fantastic Four logo on it. Like I said, there's another huge part of this post-credit scene I want to get to, but first I just need to talk about this moment, obviously, because it is a huge teaser, but I see a lot of people complaining like, oh my god, this is spoiling the Fantastic Four movie. We now know they end up in the main MCU timeline. Does that mean they lose in their film? Well, maybe it does mean that, because I have been theorizing for a long time. I'm like, yeah, this Fantastic Four universe is a completely separate world and a completely separate Earth. They could have Galactus just straight up win, devour the Earth. It would be a great moment, and maybe that's what makes Reed Richards like travel to our dimension. He finally cracks it or something. I don't think seeing this spaceship and them flying into the main MCU timeline is a spoiler of the movie at all. They could simply win in their movie and then also decide, oh hey, there's something going on with like Doctor Doom or something in their movie's post-credit scene. We got to get to this other timeline with other superheroes to warn them, because we know the Fantastic Four are pretty much the only superheroes in their universe. And like I was saying, either way, we know the Fantastic Four had to end up with the main MCU universe to be in Avengers Doomsday, so like I don't think this is spoiling their own movie whatsoever. I'll talk more about that in a second, but let's move on to the second major part of this post-credit scene, because obviously, like I said, it's revealed that these are now the new Avengers as deemed by Valentina, but in the post-credit scene, it's revealed to us that Sam Wilson's actually, he's forming his own Avengers. Obviously, we saw that in Captain America Brave New World. He's even like copyrighted the name Avengers. He's saying like, no, you guys cannot be the Avengers. I'm doing my own thing over here. The public's very divided. A lot of people are kind of turning on this group of the new Avengers, being more in favor of Sam Wilson and the team he's building. Yelena's talking about how they're just constantly losing credibility. They can't even have Sentry use his full powers, because if he does, then the dark side of the Void comes out, so we'll have to see how they handle that in the future. But I'm not gonna lie to you guys, this part's almost more interesting to me than the Fantastic Four teaser, because like I said, we've known the Fantastic Four are coming. We literally have a trailer for the film. It's the next movie releasing in the MCU. Like if this movie happened like a year or two ago and we got the teaser, I think it would have been a lot cooler cooler. This finally gives us like a main MCU conflict that's happening in the greater world. Like now we have this kind of debate and argument going on between two groups of like who is going to be the real Avengers in this universe. And that's a really interesting dynamic that again I kind of wish was set up like a year or two ago. We finally feel like we have some major plot lines that can all connect for Avengers Doomsday, but we have literally no time to expand upon this before they're all thrown into Avengers film, and we're gonna have all the other like OG X-Men coming back to kind of overcrowd this storyline. When I feel like this is really interesting, I kind of wish we had like a Captain America Civil War-esque movie with like the Thunderbolts and Sam Wilson kind of beefing it out. Or Captain America Brave New World simply should have came out after this and kind of been dealing with him being like, okay, now I actually have to build a new Avengers team because these bums are making their own version. I know it sounds like I'm complaining. I am grateful for this entire movie. I think it's a great standalone movie, and with this teaser, it gives us some of the best setup we've ever had in the MCU. I simply just think it should have happened a little bit earlier, but finally, at least we are back on track with great stuff happening, great movies on its own, great teasers. Before I get into how I think this is going to tie into Avengers Doomsday, I want to show you this one interview clip of Jake Schreier, the director of the movie, and him talking about how they filmed this post-credits scene and how it's going to kind of tie into Doomsday because it was filmed on the set of the movie actually.
That makes sense.
When you're filming a stinger like this that's directly related to the future, how much of that plan are you told in advance for context?
So a couple things about that. I didn't film that scene. I was there when it was filmed, and I can say that it comes from the set of a production that might be starting production right around now, so that might be fun for people to stay and watch. But I was so honored to have that happen. We always knew kind of that end moment that that was going to be, from the very beginning, that was true, and then it was about building the right story that lived up to that. I think, you know, the specifics of what that end credit scene came to be, like those came together quite late, and I mean, that only got filmed maybe, is it even a month ago at this point? It's very recent.
Oh wow.
So yeah. They're good at this over there.
I'm not gonna lie, I was kind of surprised hearing this, but it definitely makes sense that they wait this long to put in the post-credit scenes to kind of make sure all the other release projects are finalized and will line up with whatever they end up teasing in this movie. But it also kind of makes me think that Kevin Feige threw this in last second, at least the Fantastic Four element, just to drive home some extra ticket sales, which again, I'm not mad about. I love this movie. The scene was cool, and if it brings more people to the theaters, I'm happy. Who knows, they could make this all work in Doomsday if you kind of have it like the teams are fractured. Think of like Infinity War, where like Iron Man and Cap were still mad at each other off on their own. Well, you could kind of have that. You could have the Thunderbolts, and you could have like Sam Wilson and his team with like the new Avengers that has probably Thor, Shang-Chi, other people like that. Then you have the Fantastic Four as their own group, and then the X-Men. Kind of these four different groups all wanting to defeat Doom, but in different ways and disagreeing about how to go about it. All I know is Dr. Doom better be praying that Sentry doesn't learn how to fully control his powers, or he just doesn't give in and let the Void loose, because I'm not gonna lie, this dude might solo Dr. Doom. His powers were so insane. Let me know your thoughts on the post-credit scenes. If you want to see my review of Thunderbolts, click the video at the top, or my ranking of each member of the Thunderbolts team, click the video on the bottom. Thank you so much for watching.